Hello. Anyone who saw my recent Assassin Snails short will know that I suspect some of my shrimps are being killed by the Assassin Snails. So I'm setting up this very small bowl as somewhere to put the 3 snails just to get them away from the shrimp. I've kept Assassin Snails in cold water before without a filter and they bred really fast, so I don't think it'll be a problem for these guys. Spoiler alert, the shrimp in that video was rescued, so you don't have to worry about that one, but I did find a dead one the day before, and I think that was the fault of the Assassin Snails. So it's a really small bowl. You can see my hand next to it, and it's all I've got spare at the moment. I'm going to put in the tiniest bit of aquarium soil. This is a tropical one from Pets at Home. I always try and keep a little bit of this to hand. Just a tiny bit. There's going to be a few plants in here. Nothing much. I don't want there to be too small a water column. It's not going to be great as it is. But we'll see how they get on. If it's not working, then I'll have to do something else for them. I have got some cheapish gravel which I've washed. Well, it's very fine gravel or very coarse sand. Always wash my substrate before putting it in because I can't bear the dust and mess. Not sure if I've washed enough. As with any small scape, try and bank it up towards the back just to increase the surface area. It gives the appearance of being a little bit larger than it is. My bowl in the kitchen is actually on a turntable, so I can rotate it and view it from different angles. So I haven't done that in that case, but this one is only going to be seen from the front. I wonder if I need a bit more. I'm going to get a little bit more, I think. Back again. Just rinsed it until the water ran clear. I will be adding dechlorinator at the end, so it doesn't matter that I've washed this in tap water. Also, I find the Assassins are pretty hardy. It's actually a bit warm. Okay. That's that bit. Okay, I found these rocks at the farm where I keep my horses. And it was pouring with rain yesterday when I found them. And in the rain, they look a really nice orange colour. But as you can see, when they dry, they don't look anything at all. So hopefully, once I get these wet again, they'll look a really nice colour. Plus they were free, so that's always a good thing. The biggest one might be a bit too big, so I'm just going to have a play around with it. I think that's okay. I'm not going to put too many in. I need to allow room for some planting. I'll be taking some bits of grass out of other scapes. Obviously we're rather limited for space. It's always a temptation to use them all when you've got multiple pieces of stone, but it's worth bearing in mind you can always keep it for something else. That one doesn't look a very good colour. They seem to have a nice colour on one side and be grey on the back. I don't know what sort of stone it is. Let me know in the comments if you have an idea. I don't like that one. I think that'll do. I'll leave those. And I've got a few detail stones that I picked out of some gravel. I spent a while picking out the bits that were the right sort of colour. And a bit garish, but I actually quite like this gravel. It's one from Pets at Home, and although it's not very natural looking, it is quite nice and quite pretty. And because it's from Pets at Home, it's inexpensive as well. Right, I think I need to go and hunt for some plants. Let's see what we can find that's going spare. I just had my arm in the tank and look at it. That's duckweed. So all the plants that I'm pulling, I'm going to have to run under the tap. I mean, some duckweed's going to get in there, but... Okay, don't ask me what the plants are, but I've just pulled a few bits and pieces out of the other tanks. And I've washed them. I've had this, I think it's a really nice crinkly crypt, for quite a while. I've got one planted in the community tank, and then this one was sitting in the pot, and I've managed to split it. So this is about a third of it, nearly a half. So I'm going to stick that at the back. Some of these might end up immersed, and that's okay. This is actually really horrible to plant into, this gravel. I don't think they're going to love living in there, but we'll see. And I've got this one. It's like a big version of Monte Carlo, but longer stems. I'm not sure what that is, but it's been in the pot a little bit too long. There's a few brown pieces. We'll see how that does. It's not going to have great light on this bowl unless I put it near a window. I don't know. This is really horrible to plant into. Put a bit more gravel on top of there in a minute. And then, as always, some dwarf hairgrass. I don't think this is the Eleocharis mini. I think it's the next sort of size up. I've got some fluval tweezers, and they've got really grippy ends, which is a terrible design because whenever you try and pull them back out, the plant always comes away with you. I need a bit more of this grass. I think I should have put more sand in here as opposed to gravel. That's actually not going to get much light under the canopy of that piece of stone. But let's see. Grass is fairly forgiving. Now I'm thinking that the snails really like to bury themselves in the sand. So yeah, bit of a change of plan. I am going to make a bit more of a beach at the front, because I know they really like to bury themselves in the sand with their sort of snorkely bits sticking up. So I'm going to wash some fine sand and just make a beach at the front there. Never be afraid to change your mind as you go. That's my excuse anyway. Back in a minute. So the only sand I had open is this slightly grey sand, but it's very fine. If I was really worried about this scape, I would colour match it a lot better than this, and I wouldn't use a grey sand with the reddish stone that I'm going with. But I think for the purposes of an emergency setup for these little guys, who cares really? And it's nice and fine, so hopefully they can bury themselves in there while they wait for their prey, which is never going to come, because they are vegetarian assassin snails. Probably why they took it upon themselves to start killing my shrimp. So that's the nice little beach at the front. It's now a lot higher at the front than I intended. It might settle down a bit more with water. We'll see. Right, I think I'll get a bit of water in. That grey is actually bugging me, but I'm gonna let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It'll all be fine. Okay, now I have to get some water. I don't know how much this bowl is going to take. I reckon 1 or 2 litres. I will actually measure it as I'm putting it in, so we can see what we're working with. Right, you can probably hear my crazy coffee machine going off in the background. I'm just going to heat a bit of water to take the chill off this. They won't have a heater when they're in here, but they have got a heater where they are at the moment. So just so it's not too much of a shock for them, I'll just take the edge off this water until they get used to living at room temperature. So I'm going to put a shrimp dish in. Hopefully not make too much mess when I'm pouring it in. This is 1 litre. There's quite a bit of hardscape in there now. Some of this gravel is floating, that always surprises me. You can see the benefits of washing your substrate really well. I washed all the rocks as well. Especially if there's not going to be a filter in here. I don't want to have to siphon it all out and do 3 or 4 water changes just to get the water clear. As you can see, that's nice and clear. We have really nice water here in Devon as well. And so the stones are starting to turn that nice amber colour now, from the kind of grey that they are when they're dry. It's magic. Be right back, I'll just get some more water. And I remembered to put a glug of dechlorinator in this one. I'm going to put a bit of boiled water from the cold tap in here as well. Just so it's not too much of a shock. As I say, I do find snails really hardy. Most snails, not the rabbit snails so much. So that's 2 litres of actual water. I think we can go a little bit more. Maybe I don't need to. I quite like the fact that the rock is sticking out ever so slightly. Might leave it as that. Haven't actually thought about where I'm going to put this bowl, and a very important factor before you fill up with water is putting the aquarium or bowl where it's going to live. I mean, it could live here, but I don't have a light here and it's a long way from the window, so I might move it. Anyway, it's not heavy. What do we think? I think that's okay. I might get some floating plants in there, not duckweed. And then I need to try and find those 3 snails. I suppose I should put something in there to try and draw them out. Nearly done. Okay, I've got some floating plants and a tiny bit of moss. I've got loads of moss, but I don't want to fill up this tank so that you, well, it's not a tank, this bowl, so that you can't really see what's going on. So I've just brought across 3 tiny water lettuce. I haven't got loads of water lettuce, but they are slowly multiplying. And then some big heads of Amazon frogbit. I could tell you the Latin name for that, but it's written down on the label. Might be too many going in here. I'm hoping that no duckweed has made its way in, but I've washed it so many times and there's still bits coming off. I should be able to keep on top of it there. Okay. Obviously it's not cycled, but the plants have been in various tanks. I'm going to put a little bit of the water from the tank that the snails are in here as well. And it's dechlorinated. I think it'll be fine. Let's go and get them. As suspected, I'm struggling to find them in the bowl, so I've got just this one. I'm going to put him in. I'll put some bloodworms in the bowl to see if the others will come forward. And then I'll move them across as and when I find them. Let's see if this little guy is hungry. Let's put him in. I've actually put some bloodworms in for him. I'll come back in 5 minutes and see what's happening. That's all three of them settled in their new home. I think they're happy.